This episode is brought to you by Soul Taker Fightwear, proud partners of the Jiu Jitsu Lu podcast. I recently had my own custom Jiu Jitsu Lu podcast gi designed by the team, complete with Soul Taker branding and my name embroidered on it, and I absolutely love it. If you're thinking about a custom gi for yourself, your academy, or your team, head over to Soul Taker Fightwear and start the conversation today. You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lu podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I know you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're showing how things can be done differently. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to look after yourself, start training jiu-jitsu. I'd like to welcome Ste Henshall to my podcast. Ste, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. We had a discussion before we started talking, and sometimes being known by our first name, our full first name, feels like, you know, a parent's giving us what for. So Ste, it's so nice to chat. I've been following your journey through Ikigai, submission grappling, but let's hear a bit about why and where you started training jiu-jitsu.
So I started in, I think, the back end of 2009 at a place called Predators in Manchester, which is still about today. Really well-known MMA gym. And I got into jiu-jitsu by accident. I walked in there, well, MMA in general. I wasn't an MMA fan, didn't watch it, didn't know anybody in the sport. And I actually thought it was a Thai boxing gym because I wanted to lose a little bit of weight and, you know, learn to look after myself a little bit.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and then I was, the very first session, I can still remember it, he was teaching Kimuras, and then rolled after it. But yeah, fell in love with it straight away. But it was a surprise.
So yeah, Thai boxing, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I guess they are different. They're very different.
I didn't look very hard. Just went, oh, there it is, and just went.
Oh, well. So it was a good experience. You were welcomed in. How did you feel on that first session?
Just something I knew I wanted to learn. I had to learn it after that very first session, and I really enjoyed it. I left just on an absolute high. Miles more than if it would have been Thai boxing, I wouldn't be doing it now. I know I'd lose the interest in banging pads and, you know, doing things like that. I just know it won't hold me long term. But the jiu-jitsu is still now figuring things out and picking bits and pieces off people. I do. Yeah. I still love it now as much as them.
It's so good. And I think one of the reasons why all of us are still in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is that it's a problem-solving game. There are a lot, I mean, whilst it's lots of other things, it just allows our curiosity and mindset to be challenged. And it's not easy all the time.
No, that's the beauty of it.
That's so good. So you wanted to kind of get in shape when you started training. Tell us around, you know, you're based in Manchester, and how old were you when you started?
So I'd have been, I think I'd have been about 21, would I?
Yeah.
I'm 39-ish now, 21, 22, something like that. But same again, just kind of into my weights a little bit, mincing around, getting bored. I do a month on the weights and then 4 months off, and then it just kind of nothing was sticking. I just thought I just want to try something else. Done bits of boxing when I was younger, but yeah, like I said, I just wanted something to do as well on like Saturdays, Sundays. I was lounging about bored all the time. Yeah. It's kind of at that time, it was. Don't know if it was at the back end of a recession or in it, but it was hard to get work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What time was that? Was that around 2008, 2009?
Yeah, 2008, 2009 was quite a challenging time for so many people.
So like I say, I was just a young lad with no trade, no experience in anything, so I'm at the back of the queue for jobs. And like I say, just give me something to focus on. I thought, right, I'll go and try and learn something, get in shape. But like I said, so glad it was jiu-jitsu. I loved it. From day one, I absolutely loved it.
Now, I'm interested, kind of having that experience, being at the back of the job queue, not being able to get a job back in, you know, kind of a recession time. What did you end up doing kind of alongside Brazilian Jiu Jitsu to kind of keep you more financially viable? Because jiu-jitsu is not a free thing.
No, I did. To be fair, for quite a while, I didn't do much. I was a body for privates in the gym after a little while, so that's a way that I kind of learned as well.
Yeah.
Owed the instructor from time to time. One of my friends, John Barlow, he ran a gym at the time. It was basically Spartan Predators in Middleton. He kind of borrowed me his bike. He'd take me to training, stuff like that, let me jump in his privates, and then he'd bring me up to
Yeah.
his gym, let me train there. I'd just be try to pay it back in any way that you can. Like I said, it's good for instructors sometimes to have a body so that I can show something
Yeah.
on someone and say, right, do it now, can watch it from a bird's eye view rather than always being in it. It's little bits and bats like that. And then I think I ended up, I was getting little jobs labouring here and there, but I hated it. So it was always, I'd be in for a month, get a little bit of money, and then I'd sack it off.
That's quite interesting that there seems to be a repeated pattern. Kind of do things for a month, not do things for like 4 months. You're weightlifting, certain jobs that you didn't kind of, match whatever energy you had, and you hadn't found what is the best thing for you at that point. And I think, any of us in our early 20s, we're left with a lot of choices and a lot of options, and it's how you decide which direction you're going to take, whether in career, whether in kind of fitness, whatever it happens to be. What was the kind of point where you decided to do something quite different? I mean, obviously you've got the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but what else did it lead to from a consistent perspective in your life?
To be fair, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and kind of, well, it's led to me kind of getting into different businesses here and there. But the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is probably the only thing that I've been consistent with in my life, to be fair, from that kind of sticking to something and a job perspective. Everything else, just nothing else suited me. All the things that I grew up getting taught was just basically get a trade, go to work. So I worked in a scrapyard when I was a kid. I was never work shy. Like on weekends, school holidays, stuff, I was in scrapyards, motor mechanics, stuff like that. But I hated every second of it. But I just thought that's what you do. Even even though you hate it, and then you blow all your money on a weekend because you hate what you're doing. And it's just like the story of most young lads from where I'm from. It's just one of them. You don't really know certain jobs exist. Like I said, it's a martial arts instructor was never something that I knew was like a real job, if you know what I mean. If it is, but
it's definitely a real job.
Don't feel like it sometimes when you've worked in scrapyards and building sites and stuff. But it's definitely an enjoyable job. But like I say, as soon as I got into it, and I knew straight away. I'd done bits of MMA, sort of fought a few times, but I knew I was never going to go anywhere with that. But I wanted to get experience to kind of teach. I knew that I loved doing it. I just wanted to be on the mats all the time.
Nice. Any advice? I don't normally ask for advice for this early on, but I feel like this is a point where, there might be individuals in their 20s thinking about what's next for them and what's possible. Do you have any advice for anyone in that kind of age range that is trying to work out what to do with their life?
To be fair, I don't know if I'm anyone to advise. I know because I'm still winging it and trying to work out what to do with my life. But it is one of them. It's got to a point with me. What I'd say to my kids and things like that is just if you don't like doing it, don't do it. You're not going to get good enough at it to earn any. You're going to be miserable even if you do earn loads of money or whatever else. It's just try and find something that you enjoy doing, and then just go from there. Your grades don't really matter. I suppose that goes against the grain with some jobs, but for most jobs, people that I'll employ or jobs that I've worked or when I've got jobs for other people, don't ask what your GCSEs are. They ask, does he blow Mondays? Is he late? Is he gonna, is he gonna give me an attitude if you have to tell him what to do? But they want to know about you, your personality. Are you teachable? Things like that. And I think getting kids into jiu-jitsu from early is great for that because it lets them know you can learn, you can be bad at something and do better, and as long as you enjoy it, you stick at it. But that's about, like I say, I'm still winging it and trying to find out yourself.
That's fine. I think if we're all honest, we're all just winging it. But having that fresh perspective that if you don't enjoy something, you're questioning why you're doing it, and could you choose to do something else? Because I guess sometimes so many of us pursue an activity or a job or a pursuit or even a relationship for a period of time we don't enjoy. We're not finding a way to work through and actually feel like this is something more long term. But Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is always the answer, because this is obviously a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu podcast, and just talking with other people like yourself that have such a passion for the sport. Now, kind of moving through your Jiu Jitsu journey, Steve, do you remember kind of your first big promotion in Jiu Jitsu?
I think purple belt was the one where I really felt like, because blue, I think most people have an imposter syndrome still, like, well, I'm getting my blue belt today, and you're thinking, oh, crap, I've just been submitted about 30 times, but once you kind of get your purple, when I got my purple, I was a blue belt for about 5.5 years as well. Oh no, I was a brown belt for about 5 odd years. I was a blue belt for about 4.5 years, somewhere like that. But when I got my purple, I felt like it was a belt that I felt that I deserved, and I kind of felt, I've kind of done my time to get this. I was about 7 or so years in. It's like, and I've kind of had an idea that I knew what I was doing now, whereas that was the belt for me anyway, where I really felt. Yeah.
Nice. And does your favourite colour happen to be purple now?
No, it's black now, obviously.
Sorry, that was such a lame question, but I was like, I know when people get promoted to purple or any colour belt, that becomes their favourite colour. But so black is your favourite colour now, Steve?
Yeah.
Sorry, we never know where these conversations are going to go. So why is your favourite colour black?
Because I'm a black belt.
It's that simple. Love it.
Yeah. Basically.
Has it always been your favourite colour?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going anywhere with this.
Open and shut question.
Yeah, exactly. I don't normally ask them, but I was like, well, for the fun of it. Who knows? So you've been a black belt since 2022, and you run your own gym. Have you kind of formed the way you coach, your attitude to jiu-jitsu and coaching based on, your life experience, shall we say?
Absolutely. I think everyone in jiu-jitsu does. Again, jiu-jitsu is an art. It's not a science. There's certain things that are just fundamental that, like, you can't break them rules, on a really fundamental level. But from there, your personality and your attributes are going to come through in your game and in the style that you teach. And again, what makes you happy. It's I obviously teach in a way that I think benefits everybody, all my students and things like that, but I also teach in a way that I find interesting. If I don't find it interesting, what chance have we got of selling it to anyone else? I've got to do it in a way that I find interesting.
Yeah. So talk to us about the way that you find jiu-jitsu interesting. Sorry, these are such dull questions, but I'm sure you've got a great answer.
It's pretty much the same as everyone else. Get the drilling over with as soon as possible and get on the mats and get rolling. But it's kind of, I'll basically bring people in and I'll watch and I'll kind of maybe go over some common mistakes that I see across my mats. If I keep seeing people do the same thing, or I see people go too far down one route too early in their jiu-jitsu career, I say, don't tell yourself you're not a leg locker as a white belt 2-stripe. You don't know yet. Don't tell yourself you are just a leg locker and not a guard passer as a white belt 2-stripe. You don't know yet. I think people start forming these things. Like I said, your attributes and your personality will come through, but don't close any roads off too early. And I try and bring people back in the room and say, no, you don't know yet. Things that I used to really enjoy 10 years ago, I don't now. I've no interest in. I've got a similar-ish game, but I've definitely narrowed it a lot. But that comes later. I feel like people do it too soon.
Yeah. What was it about your game that we will carry on to talk about Henshall BJJ in a bit, but what was it about your game that you noticed change over the years?
Obviously, age becomes. I tell you, my biggest learning moment was with Andy Aspinall. But I used to go to the garage and do private swim. I'd done for a couple of years, literally twice a week. I think I'd go up, roll with Andy. And I just remember I was a blue belt at the time, and it's the first time we'd ever rolled. And he kind of laid down. He was things where he lies on his side. He goes, "Go on, Steve, submit me." And I was kind of all over him. I was moving everywhere, 100 miles an hour. And he just burst out laughing. And he sort of just went, "What are you doing?" And it's just like, went, "Jiu-jitsu." But I was sweating and all the rest of it. And Andy's just looking at me. And he just went, "What do you want out of it?" And blah, blah. I said, I want to teach. And he went, "You won't be able to do that when you're my age." He went, "You need to cut to the chase a lot more." And it was just a light bulb moment. I used to be, back then I was athletic. I was like 13 stone. I was doing the MMA. I could, we had a good gas tank, could move loads, scramble loads. But it was just that thing of, if I really do want to get good at this, I've got to roll as if I'm 60 years old. If I can't do it then, it's not real jiu-jitsu, basically. That was the thing. And then he said, anyone can just scramble about and like a lunatic. He said, slow it down. Imagine you're my age, pick what you're doing. And it was a massive light bulb moment for me. And I've still got that today, that kind of attitude. If I can't do it, I'm still relatively young now, but 40 is not too far away. If I can't do it in 10 years' time, what's the point in learning it?
Yeah. I think so many of us absolutely want to be continuing our Brazilian Jiu Jitsu journey forever. And that's kind of finding a way. But do you remember when Andy spoke to you and said that? Did you immediately find a way to get cut to the chase and submit him quicker? What happened?
I didn't find a way. It's still a process. Still try to tap Andy today, but it's just it was I feel like they're moments that's what I try and do with my students, and just sit down and have a little chat with them, and on maybe not that specifically, but something about their game that I think will change the way that they approach it, because that moment for me completely changed the way that I approached the game and made me a lot more efficient of a grappler. Whereas if I was still trying to go like a lunatic today, rolling people 20 years younger than me, miles more athletic, it's a losing game. So even I might roll with like a young, really good purple belt, he might submit me, absolutely, that happens all the time. But if we talk about just straight jiu-jitsu, it's kind of, I was much more efficient than them. They're all over me. They're knackered and I'm not. And I'm thinking, I'm 20 years older than you. You should be, you should be a lot more tired than me, but and you're an athlete and I'm absolutely not. So to me, I think, well, I've got the better jiu-jitsu. It's more efficient. Not like I'm just lying there doing nothing, but I've cut out a lot of steps that you haven't just yet. And that's real jiu-jitsu as far as I see it.
I love it. But I do need to ask you a question. So I often train with younger, more athletic individuals. And I'm now trying to kind of control and slow the game down. But I'm going, is this really jiu-jitsu? I'm now having imposter syndrome about me slowing down the game. I might not always be effective in, getting to the submissions quickly, because for me, I'm nearly 50, wanting more time on the mats. But I kind of want to, is that a good thing to be slowing things down in jiu-jitsu?
It's what's the saying is smooth is slow or slow is smooth or whatever it is, but it's not so much about slowing it down, it's about being efficient. And with efficiency, you will take more moves out of it. If I have to do 4 moves to get you in a certain position, I'm going to have to go through them quickly. If you only have to do 1, I'll still have to have some element of speed to it, but I've knocked a lot of steps out. I always just see it as kind of a success rate and how efficient you are at getting to the kill. If you see people, I see even to kids now, a lot of these kids, and a lot of them are very, very good at jiu-jitsu, but I think a lot of them are more athletic than they are actually good at jiu-jitsu. But when I say, if you start one end of the mat, it's mount back, then he's on your back, then you're on his back, and then you're on mount, then he's on knee round, then you're on mount, and you've took up an entire mount. It was a great role to watch, but it wasn't great jiu-jitsu. Once you got mount, he should not have got out. And that was the end, and it might be boring to watch. And that's what I aim for. And same again, if, say you go for 10 submissions and you only get 1, there's a 10% success rate. That was rubbish. If you go for 1 and you get 1, that's 100%. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. You only have to tap someone once in reality, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't matter.
I like that. So basically, slow well, or whatever pace, as long as you're efficient. So it's that efficiency piece about, from the start or a number of moves to a submission and a finish, because then your success rate is kind of looking good.
That's jiu-jitsu as far as I see it. And then it's like knowing how to, you add, it depends on the scenario. You're going to add urgency and speed and things like that if you're in a fight. Of course you are. It's different. It's like knowing how to tap somebody from an arm triangle with one arm without squeezing, just using your body is the best. Then you know it very technically well. But in a fight, you're still going to squeeze. Because you're going to want it over with. But that's kind of that thing of, but I know how to do this. Just using body weight, just using angles and technique. I know exactly where to position myself. And then I'll add the squeeze. Too many people add the squeeze and then try to sort themselves out. And they might get it because the person thinks, you're not really choking me, but I don't want a sore neck tomorrow, so I'll tap. And then they think they're really good at head and arm triangles, but it's like, you're not. You're not technically very good at them. You're getting them, but you're not technically very good at them.
Good. Okay. We will talk about technical stuff and squeezing and competition in a moment. Community Spotlight on Henshall Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Known by many as the Attic, this Manchester academy has built a reputation around consistent training and continual learning. It's a place where people come to develop their jiu-jitsu the same way most of us do, by turning up, putting the work in and spending time on the mats. Because while there are plenty of ways to talk about jiu-jitsu, there's no substitute for training it. To find out more, visit manchesterbrazilianjiujitsu.co.uk. This is the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. I only say that because one day I know I will be broadcasting from another country. Please go and subscribe on whichever platform you are listening or watching on. I would really appreciate that. And of course, I'd love to hit 1,000 subs on YouTube in 2026. Today, I'm having a conversation with Ste Henshall. So, Ste, let's talk about Ikigai.
Perfect. Let's talk about Ikigai.
So you're coming up for number 11, 1st of August, 2026. Yeah, you've done 10 already. How has the experience been? And what was the aim around doing Ikigai?
There's literally at the start, there was no real aim. I actually tried getting into promoting an MMA show about 11 years ago. That just fell flat on its face, and I kind of just moved away from it for a while. Thought, right, okay, that didn't work quite the way that I wanted it to. But it's with Ikigai, I kind of had a bit of an idea how to do things a little bit differently from like a grassroots level. I know kind of, bigger shows now are paying massive money, but it's good for the 0.1% of jiu-jitsu athlete, but it's not great for the rest of us, like regular jiu-jitsu guys. So I feel like it's more, I came at this a little bit different because it was kind of a bit disruptive. And I think if you're not going to be disruptive, don't bother in an industry. Does Manchester really need, or the Northwest or England really need another jiu-jitsu comp where we pay two big names to headline and then tell everyone else it's an opportunity? Well, and that's it. We don't need another. It's one of them, just either do something a little bit different or don't bother. And with Ikigai, I thought this is a bit of a different kind of setup, and I think that's why it's done well. It's just it's not unique anymore because a lot of people following a similar structure now, which is great because it means that there's more money on the table for basically the grassroots level of BJJ.
Yeah. Why the name Ikigai?
It basically loosely translates, I googled anyway, so I might be wrong, to basically do what you love and find a way to get paid doing what you love. So it just made sense for a grappling show that was paying the money that we are to the lower belts.
Nice. Thank you for clearing that up. I used to work for a Japanese organization, so I knew the origins, but actually just, getting paid to do what you love, that's the ultimate, isn't it? Yeah. So all of your events have had massive prize pots, and you've got £10,000 for number 11 coming up. Why the investment, or why the kind of growing price pot? I mean, it's great for anyone taking part, but where did you see the benefit of rewarding people that come onto this event?
It's, I've actually, I think yesterday I did another 10 grand on a separate one. So we're going to do a white belt 10 grand tournament and a blue belt one on the same show.
Yeah.
But it basically done a while ago. We was doing kind of smaller £100. This is how it kind of started. If you get a submission, people were
Yeah.
really happy with that. And then, honestly, it all came down to one lad who I think was a blue belt at the time. Who was like, I think he was a scaffolder or something like that. And he sold like 70 odd tickets. It might have been 73.
Wow.
And when he kind of won, got his hand lifted and I passed him £100, I felt like I robbed him. I was just like, I ended up giving him some money because I thought, that's ridiculous. Even though I give him a commission on the tickets, I thought, that's, you know, if there's people out there that can shift 20 tickets with absolute ease, we can fund this prize pot. They only have to sell one or two more that kind of doesn't go at the prize pot, that goes to putting everything together. And there's, you know, on the base of it, it's kind of that simple anyway. But it's when people drop out and things like that, it makes it a little bit harder, which is when I start venting. The last show, I backed, I think, 4 people out of my own pocket for tournaments because literally people pulled out on the day and hadn't paid tickets and blah, blah. So then but you've got to do what you said that you're going to do.
Yeah.
I can't now say, sorry, I'm taking 2 grand out of the prize pot. It's just, I'm just going to have to swallow it, is what it is.
Yeah. That's really great that you kind of highlighted and noticed, you know, one athlete competitor's kind of effort. And I think that really does echo and showcase the intent behind what you're doing. So whilst there are frustrations, and I think, you know, when people say they're going to do something, we always just want them to follow through and do what they say they're going to do. But that's not the vibe of everyone. And I think it's finding those people that are going to follow through, do what they say they're going to do, and support shows like Ikigai, as well as all those other incredible shows, because, you know, nothing really comes for free.
Exactly. And it's just, again, if you get the right people, they understand instantly. Like now, so I've learned kind of over time. I've done shows where it's not about earning money, but I can't always lose money, otherwise it's not a sustainable business. But you know, the show won't be sustainable. It's as simple as that. But I now say you learn kind of as you do it. Now I'll say, okay, we need a deposit of you of 50% or 20% or whatever it might be for your spot. And some people really spit the dummy out about that. And then they say, but can't you understand? Like, you're not giving it me. It's not my money. I'm not off to the casino with it. It's just, it's there in the pot. I know that you're invested. And you know that if 15 other people have done that, they're invested too. So it protects the event. Anyone can just say, yeah, put me down. And a week before the show, they go, oh, you know what? I forgot my missus booked an holiday or whatever you like. But if there's a bit of an initial investment of a couple of £100, you're pretty sure they're going to turn up. So that's kind of one of the things that I've done to mitigate people pulling out and get the right people in right from the door.
Yeah. I think so many event organisers have a challenge of competitors not showing up, pulling out last minute, or maybe even injuries. How do you deal with some of those kind of not planned situations?
I think just experience and learning, like, it doesn't crumble the show. You don't have to get in a flap. Whereas maybe if, like, what happened at the last show would have happened on the second show, I would have thought, I'm never doing this again. And I went into a panic about it. But I literally just turned around to another lad that fit description, went, do you want in? Try and win whatever it was, maybe £2.5 grand or something like that. Went, go on in, you get. I just done that to a few different people around the venue and it was like, all right, nice one. So it was it's as simple as that. And then you just kind of, you make sure you don't, you know, like I said, try to mitigate it as much as you can now moving forward. So at least I'm covered slightly.
But no, it's good. Do you have quite good kind of audience? You know, obviously anyone that's coming to see some of these shows, they're most likely invested in the people that are on the show, or they're just friends and family. Is there quite a good crowd that come along?
Absolutely. I touch wood up to now. It's really has kind of been that kind of vibe. But that's what I wanted from day one. I really did want to have said this before in different podcasts, kind of like a darts kind of vibe. Where people just come to enjoy. Jiu-Jitsu is not a spectator sport. It's especially if you don't know what you're looking at. It's a really hard sport to sell, that this is the thing that you should be giving up your Saturday night for. But if there's good music on in a bar and stuff like that, and people can have a bit of a night out of it, and then they can see their mate, even if they don't even know what they're looking at, win $5,000, win 10 grand.
Yeah.
It's everyone's invested then, and everyone really gets behind it. Whereas if it's just, you just try to sell the sports hall, everyone in scramble t-shirts and flip flops and acai bowls. It's hard to sell that and have people come along and support people.
Yeah.
You have to make it a good event people can enjoy.
Yeah, I get that. The sport sometimes can be quite hard to decipher, even for some of us that are still blue belts. But it's having that whole kind of package, the whole environment, and actually supporting those individuals, buying tickets from the competitors to support them. But the joy of seeing the person winning the match and winning a cash prize can be pretty special.
Of course, again, if you don't really know what you're looking at, and you see your mate win and get his hand raised, like, okay, well done.
Yeah.
What happened there? What did you do? And you're not really bothered. But like I said, seeing your apprentice, your boss, your mate, whoever it is, your uncle,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and buy a car with this or whatever else it is, you're happy for him
Yeah.
then, aren't you? It's different, just gets you invested on a different level. And I think that's what really keeps that kind of energy in the crowd
Good.
when we're at these shows. It always has a really good energy.
Yeah. I'm bringing in white belts for a tournament and blue belts for a tournament. That's quite a unique thing in itself, especially the white belt tournaments. I know a number of organisers have tried to do kind of smaller events with white belts. Is this your first white belt tournament with a prize pot?
No, I've done a few smaller ones. I think the biggest one we done was for 2,500. I think that was an 8-man white belt tournament.
Yeah.
But it's the first big, 10 grand, bigger one that we've done. A few people are returning on it that have won, other tournaments, other white belt tournaments on ours. So
Yeah.
that's great to see.
Yeah, it's quite a thing to actually, have the confidence, go in from a white belt perspective and know that there is a prize pot, because it doesn't just set your white belt expectations. This is you invested for life. Do you see belt ranks, competitors, athletes coming back again and again for your shows? I know you've just mentioned some of the white belts coming back, but do you see competitors event on event?
Yeah, we've got like quite a. I think the one who's been on the most, I think it might be Jared, Mr. Rinse and Roll. I think he's been on it. He's passing him money all the time. He's on every show up to now. But yeah, and he's on 11. So yeah, we get the same sort of people, because again, if they come, they enjoy it, they get a win, they earn some money, they know that they can shift a few tickets. I mean, for our matches that we give £250 and a medal for the winner, you only have to sell 5 tickets, which most shows will tell you to sell 3 anyway, and you get nothing. So it's kind of, if you can sell 2 more, it just makes sense to come over to ours and try and earn a few quid.
Love it. And now, before we started recording, you mentioned about having more women on the Ikigai show. Let's put a shout out. Talk to us about what your kind of vision is for future events and women in grappling.
It's kind of almost got to a thing now where it just looks like a male-only show. The very first woman that we had on my show was my daughter. I put her on like Ikigai 2 or something like that. But even with her, I had to get her to go against a boy, and because we couldn't match her up. And the thing is just you just haven't got as big a pool of people to choose from when you try to make these female tournaments. It's not a thing of like not wanting to do it. It's just try to find 16 women who can all shift the tickets, who can all around the same weight, because or maybe we could look into an open weight, but same belt available on the day. Believe it or not, I mean, if you've got a massive pool of, something like Polaris, something like that, where they might have 250,000 people on their Instagram, they put something out, they will get it. When you're a smaller show, local sub only, with only a few thousand people, it's tough trying to get it. And then you think, if one of them pulls out, 2, 3, it was hard enough to fill it. But I'm absolutely always, women are always welcome to compete on the show, but we just seem to have gone this way now, where it just seems to be male only cards all the time.
Okay, we will put a call out because there are so many, but there are lots of factors, as you know, location, all the different things that need to happen. Because I will tell you, there are so many female grapplers out there that want on shows like Ikigai. So please, ladies, let's support shows that have these prize pots and the opportunity to kind of showcase our own jiu-jitsu, because it sounds like quite a fun thing that, it doesn't just happen once. I think, if you get the right people, Steve, then these people are going to get invited back again and again.
Of course. Like I say, it's just about reaching out to the page. If I get, even if I can put normal matches on, and then if I get enough, I can start putting on tournaments. It's just, again, it's just one of them. Just reach out to us. We'll be happily have anybody on. It's like recently, I tried doing an over 50s tournament.
I saw that. I'm not quite there, Steve. I will be soon.
that kind of fell flat. It hasn't ended up working. And again, you get like inundated with inquiries, but then so you say, okay, here's what you need to do. This is, they might be a few kg different or a couple of years different. Trainees are like, I don't know now, and so people start to, and then it just falls flat, like I said. But it's not even just particularly, women are hard to match up. It's just when you start really niching down into certain belts and things. That age is it, unless you've got massive reach. It is difficult, it's what it is. Hopefully I can, like I said, do that again for the next one, but we'll see how it goes.
Good. There are more and more of us coming into the sport of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I'm finding certainly more women coming into the sport in their 40s and 50s, which is great. So watch this space, Dee. We will be coming up to Manchester and maybe other locations around the UK for grappling events that have incredible benefits.
Hope so.
Where is your vision for Ikigai going forwards?
To be fair, again, like I say, winging it is just my
love it.
Just what I do now anyway. So it's I literally thought about the 10 grand white belt comp about 3 days ago while I was over here just putting the show together, which was already booked and already sorted, and then I'll just probably think of something else. I just like you, not so much try to outdo the show before, but just keep thinking this is a good angle or that's a good angle. Let's just run with it. If it don't work, it don't work, but we'll give it a go. So just keep winging it.
Good.
Basically.
I think it's great. We often, some of us take on the ideas that come up and then don't give them a try. We don't kind of bring them out to the world. But if you don't try or you don't do that thing and follow through with that concept or idea, then you're never going to know. And it sounds like you're willing to take a chance.
It sounds cheesy and redundant but it really is going through just Brazilian Jiu Jitsu's understanding that you kind of give things a go. If it don't work, who cares? And you don't look stupid. I wouldn't, I try to put things together. Maybe when I was younger, I thought, if it don't work though, everyone will be like going, he's trying that, it didn't even work, but now I'm just like, I'm not interested in stuff. I try it. If it don't work, okay, we'll do something else. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
Got to be lost.
I think it's a great attitude, because if you don't give something the opportunity, and no one's kind of focusing on the detail of anything, and that's what I think, the younger generation, and sometimes some of us, older individuals, or midlife individuals, we worry that people notice the detail, but actually there's a whole big picture, and really. We've just got to focus on that rather than the detail and what anyone might think, because I certainly have grown in my journey and tend not to worry about what people think about certain things. Obviously, I still care about lots of other things, but that detail, you've just got to give it a
go. The thing is, nobody cares. Everyone's bothered about their own life. they don't, and that's just a realization as you get older as well. And you think, it's like when I've lost in competition to people or whatever, and then I'll say it to my students, my friends, everything. I say, I lost them. Oh, did you? And I'm like, wow, I thought that was kind of It was a big deal to me. Nobody else cares.
Yeah.
It's just one of
Yeah.
those things. Nobody's bothered at all. They're all too bothered with their own lives. They might,
Yeah.
and you can't give gossip anything anyway. But you'll even if you fail spectacularly, you'll be the talk of the town for about 10 minutes, and then no one cares. So
Yeah.
what does it matter?
Good. No, it's great, and it's one of those life lessons that nobody cares. Get on and do what you're going to do in a positive light, and see where it takes you. Now, when you started your jiu-jitsu journey, and you thought you were walking into a Thai boxing gym, did you ever think you'd be here?
Absolutely not. And like I say, thank God for jiu-jitsu, because God knows what I'd be doing, because I'm useless at absolutely everything else. So it's a good job, really.
I love it. Well, I just want to say thank you for your energy and your positivity. Keep building this incredible thing that is Ikigai, because being paid to do something we love, why would we choose anything different?
Thank you very much. Hopefully I will.
How can people find out about these shows and follow your journey, Ste?
Instagram's the best page. Just the Ikigai submission grappling page. Everything that I need to post is always put on there.
Fantastic. Well, wishing you all the luck for the 1st of August, but you already know it's going to be a success, and you're just going to keep pressing through and doing great things. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lou. Thanks for having me on. Lovely to chat to you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for subscribing and watching and listening to the show. If you have any recommendations for who you'd like to see next on the show, please drop me a DM. And as always, keep telling your friends about the show. I will see you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast.